Hey, Dooberteers, welcome back to the show. My guest today is somebody who I think you're really going to like because she started her animal career and passion as a dog walker. And now look at her now. She's the executive director. So, Caryn, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm really excited to hear from you and have you on the show and hear your leadership journey. So, tell us a little bit about you and your organization.
So I'm the executive director at Pope Memorial Humane Society, Cocheco Valley. I've been with the organization for about 10 years, but I've only been the ED here for a little over a year now. As you mentioned, I started my journey as a volunteer dog walker. I was a teacher in my past life. I went to school to be an elementary educator, but animals have always been super important to me. So I think it was just the right timing when I moved up to New Hampshire. I was looking for volunteer opportunities, ways to meet people, get involved in things that I was passionate about, and I found Cocheco Valley and never left.
I think it's a great story. Like you showed up one day and said, "Hey, look, I want to help," right? As you know, the shelters are always looking for volunteers of all different kinds, and dog walking is one of those very important things. So you showed up and said, "Hey, I'll be a dog walker," and then you kind of fell in love with the organization, it sounds like.
Yeah, I definitely fell in love with the mission as a kid. If you ask any of my teachers or my parents from when I was really young in elementary school myself, I would have told you I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then as I got a little older and started thinking about career choices, I thought that emotionally that might be a little too hard for me because I'm also very empathetic and I would feel for every animal and person that walked through the doors. So I took a little break from pursuing that. I got a teaching degree. And then when I started volunteering here at the shelter, it was the mission that I really fell in love with. It seems just like the perfect opportunity to help people and help animals at the same time. And it is still really emotional, but I think as I grew and took my life lessons with me from my other, career path, I learned that I could handle it because there's so much good that happens here and it really outweighs those tough, sticky situations that I was afraid of at one point.
And I really love the fact that you said help people and animals. I think that's something that's so important in our industry. And I've had people say to me over the years, "Oh, I got into animal sheltering because I hate people and I love animals." And I'm like, then I think you're probably in it for the wrong reasons because the people and the animals, there's a bond there.
Totally. Yeah. Part of our mission is really to preserve that human animal bonds. You can't have pets thrive in your community without people supporting them. And I think that's a really common misconception is that we work here because we don't like people, we like animals, we're not the people who want to take people's pets away. It's really sad for us too when a pet owner comes to that decision to surrender a pet into our care. We know that that's a really hard decision for them, not something they want to be doing. So part of our mission is to actually keep pets at home whenever we can. So we're out to really support people and pet owners in our community just as much as the pets.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me a little bit about, I'm not very familiar with Cocheco Valley. So tell me about
Yeah.
the area. Tell me what's life like there for animals.
Totally. So we're in a pretty rural area where we are in New Hampshire. Our organization started a little over 40 years ago now. We just celebrated a 40th anniversary. And we started off really just serving the animals in our small county of Stratford County, New Hampshire. And our mission was to provide housing to unhoused animals and get them adopted. And it kind of ended there for a long time anyway. We started off in a little piggery down the street, like 100-year-old piggery that we built onto with detached trailers over time. And that's where I started volunteering. It was remarkable how much growth we had in our first 30 years or so in that little facility. It speaks a lot to the resilience of the people who were part of our tribe at the time. But eventually we decided as an organization, we wanted to do more. And we saw the need and the opportunity to do more. So we started offering spay-neuter clinics to the public to just help with population control, help folks care for their animals the way that they really want to, but maybe couldn't afford at the time. So we started offering more public services. We started helping our partners in other parts of the country to transport animals up to New Hampshire because we know about the need and how much impact we can have because we can move animals pretty quickly up in our region. We can find them really loving homes. So we started getting more involved and we started growing in the animal welfare community. And then we moved into a new facility about 7 or 8 years ago now. We're not in the piggery anymore.
Okay.
It's been a big change
I bet.
and all for the better. We're able to do even more for the people and pets in our surrounding areas. We work with about 17 towns right now throughout Stratford County in southern Maine.
Wow.
So we're the contracted facility where we'll do stray holding. We work with police officers for animal related investigations. Plus, we still do owner surrenders for those towns when people, need to make that tough decision.
Sure.
And we're still going strong with our transport program, working with other shelters in the country to help where we can.
That's amazing. It sounds like you guys are doing a lot. I mean, what is your annual intake or impact on animals look like?
Yeah, so in our adoption program, we see in the range of 1,000 to 1,100 animals a year, which for a pretty small facility relatively is a lot. And then we kind of touch in various ways, whether it's through our low-cost clinics, whether it's for our pet food pantry, low-cost training services. We affect roughly another 1,000 animals each year through those operations as well.
That's really cool. It sounds like you've recognized the need for those community programs and you guys have really just met the need for the community.
Yeah, we like to think we've met the need, but there's definitely more opportunity, and we're looking forward to doing even more over the coming years. But I think we've been able to do a lot to keep animals in their homes, which is one of my favorite things that we can offer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always been my philosophy. The more animals we can get into fosters, the more obviously we can get adopted out. But, it's the way the system was designed years ago, we're still kind of fighting to get out of it and recognize that it should be a community center more than, a centralized place where all the animals have to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's always tough. So, Caryn, when did your passion? I know you said when you were a kid, you were the one with the animals. Was there a particular animal or situation that made you go like, this is doing it for me. Like, this is where I want to take my life.
We always had pets growing up. I was like the little cat lady in my in my neighborhood. So any of the outdoor cats would stop at our house because I demanded that we put food out for them. I was always the person who connected with animals very readily, but I think what sparked my passion for animal welfare was when I adopted my first dog as an adult out on my own. I was settled in my classroom teaching job, and it was my first time living without a pet because we always had pets at home.
Sure.
And I started looking on Pet Finder and I found this little puppy who his mom had actually been rescued down south. She was pregnant at the time with a litter. She was brought up to a Massachusetts-based foster organization. She gave birth and I adopted him as a 4-month-old puppy. He just turned 14. And I think he's been a constant reminder in my life that if there weren't organizations and true networks of people dedicated to saving animals, he wouldn't be with me right now. So he really sparked that passion and interest in me and made me want to learn more and do more in the animal welfare world.
And then when you started as a volunteer dog walker, I bet you never thought that this would become your full-time thing.
No, like I said, it was just a way for me to connect with people who also liked animals. And I was still teaching at the time, kind of filling in like substitute positions because I had just moved to the area. But I found that I was spending more and more time at the shelter and turning down more and more teaching opportunities because I was just so excited and so passionate about it that when a kennel tech position opened up, that was my first job here. I jumped on it and I spent a year or so cleaning kennels and then moved into a foster care coordinator position, which was really awesome because our shelter did not have a dedicated foster person for a long time. So I really was able to grow that and then kind of moved through the ranks from there.
That's really cool. I mean, it sounds like you've gotten to do probably every position in the shelter then in the course of 9 years before the ED rule.
Yeah, it's been really enlightening and it helped me decide where I wanted to be. I was super nervous about taking the executive director role because I was so used to being hands-on with the animals and with our adopters and our foster volunteers. So I was nervous that this would be too much of a change, too much of a deviation. But I think if anything, all of that experience has helped me be more effective in this role and really have a clear vision for where we want to go as an organization.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you've been in the role now for a year. You've kind of
Yeah.
assessed. I mean, what have you learned in the first year as the top dog?
I've learned that there's so much more that goes into what we do than the folks that are in the building every day. Really connecting on a broader scale with our community, being able to go to conferences and connecting with people from across the country in this field. It's been so eye-opening just to learn how many people from all different positions, all different industries can impact our work and building those partnerships and collaborations here in our community with, the local businesses, the supporters for our events and, our programs. It's been really, really interesting to see how many people really care about what we do and are willing to support us and step in when we need help.
Yeah, I think that's what's so important is the shelter is a part of the community, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes there's a mentality of this us versus them, and it really shouldn't be. The walls need to be broken down, and you need to be transparent in your community and what's needed and what do they need and what do you need, because that's the only way we're all going to help more animals.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's always the challenge. So, what are you setting for your vision now? So, now that you're in charge and you've kind of learned, how are you changing the direction of the organization or how are you setting what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I think focusing more on our culture here, starting within these four walls so that we can build that out into our relationships with the community more. When I took over this position, I kind of changed our structure a little bit as far as our organizational chart. I had come from being the one shelter manager who kind of did all the things all at once.
Yeah.
So what I did when I went moved into this role is I built a team of managers who are working together and collaborating every day to problem solve and giving each other breaks, which is really important in this, highly stressful, emotionally charged industry. So that vision of teamwork, the core values of working together, honesty, collaboration, being able to problem solve together and being able to disagree on things too and have healthy conflict is really my vision for us on the day to day. I think on a larger scale, it's bringing that into the community and being known as a place where if you need help, you can come to us and we won't judge you. We aren't going to think of you as a bad pet owner because you need some help, you need some assistance, and really being a partner to the folks in our community as well as being partners to each other is the vision that I have for us.
I love that because it is hard, right? And I've always said when people are surrendering their animal, it's probably one of the hardest days of their life. They've already had to go through all this emotional trauma to get to that point. And so treating them or meeting them with compassion and understanding that, maybe they don't have a choice, or maybe there are programs that you have that can help them, but ultimately it's treating people with respect and dignity and recognizing that they're doing the best they can.
Absolutely. And if we don't build that trust, they may never know about those programs that we have that could help them because they'll feel uncomfortable coming to us in the first place. So we want our community to know that we're here for them no matter what.
Yeah. How do you, as a leader, motivate your team when this is such a compassion fatigue is a real thing? And in this industry and in your organization, not every day is a great day. So, how do you, as a leader, lead your team through those harder days?
Yeah, I think acknowledging, first of all, and being honest on those hard days, acknowledging that, this situation today might really stink and we need to be allowed to have emotions. We are humans and really being there for each other and allowing each other to vent or cry or take a break because we need to take care of each other and we need to take care of ourselves first. So constantly reminding my team of that. But then also celebrating the wins because we have so many small wins on a regular basis, and we need to acknowledge those too. I think it's easy to hold on to the negative stuff, but we tend to forget about all of the good that we're doing and all of the good things that are happening here. So really pointing that out and helping people hold on to those great moments
Yeah.
helps us get through the not so great ones.
Yeah, it's hard because, like you said, it's the forest through the trees, right? Sometimes you got to step back and say, in this particular case, the outcome was not what we wanted, but look at overall what we're doing and look at where we're going. And we're still human, right? And not everything is going to be sunshine and roses every day. And you've got to learn to look past the bad and look to the overall mission and the purpose of the organization.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. As a leader, you probably often get asked for advice. So what's the frequent piece of advice people ask you for, and how do you answer?
A lot of it is situational. So I have a lot of teammates coming to ask me like how to navigate a particularly challenging situation with maybe a pet and their owner. And the question is always, how do we help them? Because we're working with some really complex situations on the human level too. And I think we all in the animal world feel super comfortable when we have an animal in our care, helping them and helping them navigate life in the shelter and beyond. But when the people get involved, that tends to be where it gets trickier. So the advice is often, how can I best serve this pet owner that's come to us for help? And the biggest piece of advice I give is take a step back and first think, if you were in their shoes, what would you be looking for and how would you be feeling? Probably the person coming to us not feeling very comfortable and confident. So how first are you going to reassure them that we are here to help and things are going to be okay? But then what kind of advice or help would you be looking for in their shoes? And can we offer that? So really a reminder to put yourself in someone else's shoes and be that empathetic person that I mean, we have a wonderful team. I know everyone can handle it, but sometimes it's that reminder to just step back and look at the human aspect, look at both sides of the leash.
Yeah, I definitely like that empathetic view. And as you know, I mean, we're all humans. We're going to have bad days and situations in our own life. And so trying to put yourself in that position. I mean, one of the quotes I really like is be kind because everyone you encounter is battling something you know nothing about, whether it's
Yeah.
personal situation, financial situation, like you just don't know. And sometimes we make judgments. I think we all do. So I think
Mhm.
it's a good reminder to say, step back and how would you want to feel and how would you want this situation to be handled if you were in their shoes?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense to me. So if you had a time machine and you could go back 10 years, what advice would you give to the younger Karen and you?
I would tell myself not to be afraid of emotions getting in the way because I think emotions, empathy, and being able to work through those really hard situations have helped me to grow into where I am now and will continue to help me grow. I know that the path I took got me here, and I'm really grateful for that. And I learned a lot of lessons along the way, but I would tell myself not to be afraid because maybe I could have been here a little sooner if I didn't let that fear get in the way.
Yeah, what do they say? Imposter syndrome is really a thing, right? Sometimes we
It
hold
is
ourselves back more than we actually think.
100%.
Yeah, I definitely think that's good advice to give to your younger self is just be bold and you know what you can do and you know what you're capable of. And, sometimes you're going to try and fail and sometimes you're going to try and pivot.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah. And it's okay to fail. That would be another big piece of advice. It is okay to fail because you can always learn something from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So as we start wrapping up here, Karen, one of the things I always like to do is a little bit of a lightning round where I ask you a bunch of questions just so we can learn a little bit more about you as a person. So you ready?
I think so.
All right. Trust me, they're easy questions. So the first question is, do you prefer kitten purrs or puppy breath?
Ooh,
I know. Got to pick
That's
one.
tough. I'm a dog person 9 out of 10
Gotta
times,
be
but
the
I
puppy
think
pie.
I don't know though. I think I prefer the kitten purse.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No judgment here. You know, I get it. I have 5 cats, right? So gotta love the kitten purrs.
Yeah.
Are you a early bird or a late night owl?
Definitely a late night owl.
Okay. So
Yeah.
not there at the crack of dawn. You're like, I need my coffee. Leave me alone. Get back to me.
Yeah, I need some time to prepare myself for the day. Yeah.
Sure. Totally makes sense. What do you like to do after a hard day at the shelter to just decompress?
To spend time with my animals. I have a whole crew at home. I have 3 adopted senior dogs and 6 adopted parrots.
Wow. Okay.
Some of them are pictured behind me, but yeah, they're comic relief. They take my mind off of things, and that's what I do to decompress.
I love that. That's nice. So if your pets were writing a Yelp review about you, how many stars do you think you'd get?
5, of course.
Of course, that's great. I've had
5.
people tell me I would only get 4 because there's some things, we still got to keep them in line sometimes, but I love it. You're a 5 out of 5 for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. If you had to describe your team, your shelter team in one word, what word would that be?
Dedicated.
That's a good word. And that's
Yeah.
definitely something I see a lot of. And my last question for you, Caryn, is what do you want your legacy to be?
And I want to leave behind, just the investment and the value of that human animal bond. If there's one kind of concept that I want to leave here at Pope Memorial, it's that we continue investing in the human animal bond.
I love that. That is something that is so important. And I'm really glad you brought it back to that point. I think you're well on the path with the approach you're taking and the tone you're taking as the leader. So thank you for that. And thank you so
You.
much for coming on the show and sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.